Have you ever wondered how certain applications build these amazing branded authentication recovery scenarios into their applications? Well, with the Okta Devices SDK, we're going to talk about how you also can include these types of scenarios very easily into your applications. If that's what you're interested in, you're in the right place. Let's chat a little bit about the Okta Devices SDK and how it can help you power these awesome new experiences into your applications. My name is Tanvir Ahmed, and I'm a senior product manager on the devices team. And I'm joined today by my colleague.
Hey everyone, my name is Akash. I'm the product manager for our mobile platform products here at Okta.
And today we're going to chat about a couple of things. First, let's talk about the industry trends we're seeing in terms of what our customers expect and would like to see from an SDK or a solution from Okta. Then let's talk about what the Okta Devices SDK is and how it can help you power these new authentication experiences very easily into your applications. And finally, we're going to go a little bit into the Devices SDK itself and do a couple of demos to showcase how easy it is to set it up from the admin perspective and what end users should be expecting when applications are powered by the Okta Devices SDK. So let's dive right in. In terms of what we're seeing from our customers and what we're learning from industry trends, one of the top things we've seen is that there's a really great importance of staying on brand. Our customers have developed amazing brands and they want to have end users immersed in that brand experience from start to finish. And so, whatever solution we introduce in this space needs to be mindful of this need to stay on brand. Similarly, we've seen this growing trend to move away from passwords. And by this, we've seen a lot of friction around using passwords in certain applications, and we've seen our customers start to move away from it. So regardless of what we introduce in this space, we have to be mindful of the fact that it can't really leverage a password anymore. And we need to be using certain authentication experiences that improve on this. And related to that, we've seen our customers really start to focus on the usability of their applications. They really want to introduce flows that minimize any sort of friction in terms of authentication and password reset types of scenarios, while not sacrificing security. And this is very important. We don't want to introduce great authentication experiences that somehow diminish the security aspect. So really, an ideal solution here would improve on both aspects. And what I like to do is chat a little bit about each one of these and kind of dive into the learnings and the problems that we've seen from customers. Starting with staying on brand. Now, in this example, I have an app called Munchbox. Now, Munchbox is just a simple application. All you do is you sign into Munchbox and you can build your own snack box filled with any types of goodies you'd like, and you check out. Well, imagine I'm an end user and I'd like to go and purchase or configure my new snack box. As I'm signing up for the service, I get a prompt that asks me to now go and download this app called Okta Verify, and that this app will help me secure and protect my new Munchbox account. As an end user, you might be asking a lot of questions. One, what is Okta Verify and why do I need to install it? Or two, why does this app called Okta Verify need to be installed in the first place? It doesn't look anything like Munchbox. Are they affiliated with Munchbox? And how come it looks completely different? Now, as someone who works at Okta, we can assure you that Okta Verify isn't anything malicious. However, to an end user, they may be a little bit uh, hesitant to go and download this app and proceed. Instead, imagine from the app perspective, it'd be really beneficial if instead you can have the end user go and download their own app, like the Munchbox app on their phone, and prompt the user to do the same thing. Now, as an end user, as I'm going to sign up for this website, I see the prompt to go download the Munchbox app. And now I'm less worried and less hesitant to do so. The app is the same as the website I was trying to sign into. Logically, it makes sense that I would download the Munchbox app, and the look and feel stays consistent. Some other benefits from this is one, you avoid the risk of having the user leave the site or before signing up because they're disincentivized to go download Okta Verify. And it also helps you drive app downloads. And it makes sure that you control the full end-to-end experience if you're able to do this. You're no longer at the mercy of whether Okta Verify releases a new update and now starts confusing end users. You are now in control of this end-to-end experience. And so when you see this possibility of, hey, it would be really great if I could control the website and I can control the end user application, it becomes apparent that having to download this Okta Verify app simply isn't that appealing anymore. And we feel that customers are noticing this and they would like to see this type of functionality. When we think about passwords, we're really seeing trends where end users really don't like passwords. They're really, really easy to forget, for one. How many times have you been on a website where you're asked to now set up a password and you see the requirements for the passwords and they say something like, well, you need an uppercase character, you need a lowercase character, a number, a special character. It needs to be different from the last 10 passwords you've entered. And well, you need to change it every hour. Well, okay, so the last one I may be exaggerating a little bit, but you get the point. Websites like to make passwords as secure as possible by making sure you include these really difficult types of constraints on your password itself. And what this ends up for the end user is you now have to remember different passwords for every website or service you go and sign into. And as a result, it makes it really easy for a user to now forget these passwords. And if you go along this trend, what you're noticing is that users tend to use the same password across many different websites, which now makes passwords not that secure anymore. Now, all it takes is the weakest website to now get compromised or leaked or somehow attacked in some way. And all of a sudden now the attacker now potentially has access to all of the different services the end users reuse that password on. And finally, let's say you did select a really important, really secure password. Imagine having to type that password in every time on a tiny mobile keyboard. Or if we think about devices beyond just mobile devices and desktops, imagine having to enter this complicated password on your TV. It's really inconvenient to do secure passwords because of how complicated it is to enter these passwords every time. And because this introduces friction, what we've seen is this kind of shift towards more and more convenience and the search for a better experience without compromising on the security. And if we plot out what we're seeing in terms of trends on this sort of business 101 style of graph, with experience on one axis and security on the other, we can kind of place passwords on this bottom left quadrant here. Passwords aren't really that secure. They only provide one factor, a knowledge-based factor, providing something you know. And because of the reasons we just talked about, they don't really provide a great user experience. And what we've seen from our customers already and trends in the industry is that there's this gradual shift towards using factors like email magic link and SMS. Now, email magic link and SMS, they are providing possession factors. And so they're a little bit more secure, and they also provide a better user experience. Now, instead of having to enter your password every time you try to sign in, now you simply have to grab your phone and verify the link sent to your SMS or verify the link that's sent to your email address. At the end of the day, though, you're still only providing one factor when you're trying to sign in. And this is great for certain use cases, but in a lot of applications, you need more. And the only way really to do multi-factor authentication today in a lot of these applications is to use a combination of password and email magic link or password and SMS, which now introduces the usability problem all over again. And so what we'd like to do from Okta is introduce a solution that allows you to get this 2FA experience while not compromising on the user's experience, but also giving our developers and giving applications the ability to now introduce 2FA. And that's what we're trying to do with the Okta Devices SDK. With the Okta Devices SDK, we're empowering developers and our admins with the right tools and APIs so that they can build these secure experiences right in their own applications. We're really excited to talk more about what's available, including things like push, including things like support for biometrics, including support for OctaFastpass. And we'll get into all of this in the next couple of minutes. The Okta Devices SDK is our suite of SDKs and APIs that we're making available to our developers, and it's built on the Okta Devices platform. The Okta Devices platform is a new platform service that's built and powered by the Okta Identity Engine. And to think about the Devices platform and what offers to admins and developers is to really kind of think about it in three main chunks. The first piece is the establishing of device identity. With device identity, what you get is a record stored for your device in Universal Directory. And with this, admins and end users are able to look at all of the devices that are used to now access resources in your organization. And when you do this, you can start doing some incredible things. One such thing is start learning additional information about that device. You can start gathering security context and start learning whether devices can be trusted or not. You can start getting signals like whether a device is jailbroken or whether a device has a PIN on the device or whether it's encrypted. And with this information, you can make determinations that allow you to deliver secure authentication experiences. Whether that means you now trust the device to now send a push notification to the device and treat it as MFA, or you now trust the device enough to now collect biometrics locally on the device to authenticate you into your application. And with the Okta Devices platform, you get all of this functionality baked right into Okta. And with the Devices SDK, we provide all of the same benefits of the Devices platform to you through a simple, easy to use SDK. This means, first and foremost, you can now have fully branded push experiences right in your application. So looking at the screenshot on the right, you can see that Munchbox, if they were to integrate with our Devices SDK, can now offer these push notifications that are very specific to their application. Every pixel that you see on the screen can be customized and branded by the app developer. You control the entire experience, whether it means the text on the notification, the images on the notification, the localization, as well as any experience that could happen when the application launches and what steps a user may need to take to now verify the push transaction. Next, because Okta Devices SDK is built on the Devices platform, this means that every device that's used to access your app is now represented in Okta's Universal Directory. This now means that admins and end users can look at a list of all of the devices that they have that they've used to sign in to your application. And with this, you can now enable scenarios like remote sign out, where an end user can now log in to their app or website and get a list of all the devices that they've used to sign into your application and remotely sign out devices that they may have lost or may not want to have access anymore. Finally, you can leverage these records in Universal Directory to now start collecting additional information about these devices in what we are calling device context. And with this information, you can make decisions like whether certain devices should have access to your application or whether you need to have even more intrusive types of authentication experiences based on the risk associated with the user and device. Let's chat a little bit about push and biometrics and what that means for passwordless 2FA. The biggest thing that's available in the Devices SDK, at least in the first release, is push MFA. Now, at the end of the day, a push MFA request really just provides a possession factor. And a possession factor really just represents something you have. Similar possession factors include email magic link and SMS. However, they're not as secure. Some things we've learned from the enterprise space is that SMS is susceptible to certain types of attacks, like SIM swapping, and certain attacks that can be done at the carrier level. And what we noticed with email is if your email account gets compromised for whatever reason, then the attacker now has access to your email magic links or any verification method that now depends on the email. In both cases, even though you are providing a possession factor, we feel that it's not as secure. With Push MFA available through the Devices SDK, what we're offering developers is a factor that's now physically bound to the device. The push MFA that's available through the Devices SDK is actually backed by tokens that are now stored in either the secure enclave on your Apple devices or the TPM that's available on Windows and Android devices. If physical secure chips are not available, the Devices SDK will create a secure container in the operating system and store the keys there. In either case, the push factor is actually physically bound to the device that it's enrolled in. This means that for an attacker, if you would like to hijack the user's push MFA factor, you would need to have physical possession of that user's device and have the necessary credentials, usually biometrics or a PIN, needed to unlock the secure chip or container that's on the device. And for that reason, we feel that the solution provided by the Devices SDK is significantly more secure than email and SMS. All of that is available to you simply by dragging and dropping the SDK into your application and making a few simple calls. With the combination of hardware-backed keys and your device's ability to collect biometrics, which are never transmitted to Okta in any way, we are now able to provide passwordless 2FA, which means our developers can now enable experiences that don't have passwords, that don't compromise on the user experience, and maintain a very high level of security. And we're really excited to have our customers play around with this and incorporate these capabilities into their applications. Another set of cool use cases involve Stepup Authentication. In this type of scenario, think about whether you're in a call center. On a call center scenario, you typically have a support or call center agent trying to verify the identity of whoever is calling. Now, typically, this involves the call center agent prompting for something like a security PIN or the answer to some security question. Instead, with the Devices SDK and the new Stepup Authentication capability, the call center agent can now send a push notification directly to the user's device and ask the user to verify their identity by accepting the push that's on their app. The entire experience is again branded and fully customized with the context needed so that the end user knows and is aware of what's going on and provides a significantly better experience than having to remember a security question answer or PIN that they may have forgotten. Some other use cases include banking scenarios where a certain transaction requires additional verification before it's processed, or a payments application for shopping where a certain shopping transaction needs to be verified because it seems a little bit fishy. Step-up authentication is going to be available early next year. We're targeting an EA in Q1 of 2022 with support for certain things like open banking compliance, as well as contextual messages available later in the year in 2022. And we're really excited to get step-up authentication and transactional MFA into the hands of our customers. Talking a little bit about security posture checks. In this type of capability, what you're able to do is light up scenarios like cases where a healthcare provider may not want patient information sent to devices that may not meet certain compliance requirements or certain security posture checks. As a healthcare provider, you may not want your patient information to be sent to devices that have potentially an out-of-date operating system or on devices that may be jailbroken or may not be encrypted or may not be protected with a PIN on the device. With the Okta Devices SDK, you're able to collect this type of security posture information directly from the application that has the Devices SDK embedded in it. And as a result, as an IT admin, you're able to make these types of decisions and have it so that you're able to restrict access on certain devices that may not meet the minimum security standards required by your application or your organization. In addition, you can also decide whether a user needs to provide additional factors or whether a user should be denied outright based on the security status of the device that they're trying to access a resource on. We're really excited to have our customers be able to incorporate OctaFastpass in your own applications. OctaFastpass is a new type of authentication experience that's powered by the Okta Devices platform. And what it allows you to do is do completely silent, passwordless MFA. Imagine this use case. Imagine you're trying to sign in to Munchbox on your desktop. And as you're about to complete your purchase, you're asked to go and verify the push notification that was sent to your phone. That's when you realize that you left your phone on the dining room table. Now, normally, this isn't really that much of an issue, but it is a little bit inconvenient. It'd be a better experience if instead Munchbox were to realize that the device you are currently on is a trusted device and that you have the Munchbox app installed on that device. And as a result, there's no need to ask the user to go grab their phone from the dining room table. Instead, Munchbox can securely sign itself in from the credential that's stored in the device's hardware. This is what OctaFastpass allows you to enable. It allows you to enable these on-device secure sign-in experiences. We think that with OctaFastpass and the ability to include this in your application, you'll be able to provide the same passwordless 2FA experiences we've been talking about, and potentially even improve even more on the push MFA experience that's provided for you. Again, you'd be able to completely control the end-to-end experience here, and we really think our customers are going to love it. When we think about Okta devices and the types of platforms we support, a lot of the conversation really focuses on mobile devices and desktops. And what we'd like to do is spend a little bit of time talking about all the other types of scenarios that we're also looking to include with the devices platform. Some of these devices include IoT devices as well as televisions. And one of the flows we're really excited to talk about is the device code flow. The device code flow allows you to have authorization from certain devices like televisions. Imagine a scenario where you're trying to sign into your favorite streaming service on your TV. If you have to type in your password or anything else to authenticate on your TV, that would be pretty inconvenient. Instead, with the device code flow, you can simply open the streaming app on your phone or your device and enter the code you see on the screen. From there, you can continue the authentication experience directly on the other, more convenient device. We hope that going forward, this capability combined with the Devices SDK can now provide the seamless authorization and authentication experience so that end users have a fully branded experience end to end that customers are really going to love. Device code flow is going to be available as a beta in Q3 of this year. In terms of when all of this is coming, the Okta Devices SDK is really going to be released in two pieces. The first release is coming later this year in Q4. And with this first release, you'll be able to take advantage of our iOS and Android SDKs as well as our APIs. With this first release, you'll be able to send customized, fully branded push notifications to your applications that act as secure MFAs. These push notifications will be backed by hardware-backed keys and will allow you to collect biometrics locally on the device, which again are never transmitted to Okta servers. With this first release, you also get the ability to do device registrations, which means end users and admins will be able to view a list of all the devices that are used to access the application. And you can now enable scenarios like remote sign out, where end users can now deactivate devices they may have lost or don't want to have access anymore. With the second release coming early next year in Q1 of 2022, we're also releasing support for our Windows and Mac OS SDKs. This means you can now incorporate all of the great functionality from the Okta Devices SDK directly into your Windows or Mac OS apps. We're also releasing the OctaFastpass capability, so you can include OctaFastpass into your application, as well as time-based one-time password. So you can have those six-digit rotating codes directly hosted from your application as well. In addition, we're adding support for device signal collection, so you can start doing some of those advanced security posture checks and make sure that only secure endpoints are receiving the information that you'd like the devices to access, as well as support for transactional MFA. So you can step up and authenticate in certain use cases rather than forcing authentication for verifying transactions or purchases or things along those lines. To take a deeper look in the first release, I'd like to hand it off to Akash, who will walk us through some of the experiences you may expect.
Okay, so that's a packed roadmap. Let's take a deeper look at phase one and see how that works in action. What I'm going to do is go through a few demos of how the Devices SDK could work. Remember that Devices SDK is completely customizable. So this is just one possible combination and design of how the flow could work. What I'm going to go through is first on the admin side of things, of how as an admin, you would configure things in the Okta admin portal. And then we're going to look at on the end user side, how an end user signs up for your service, as well as signs in using your custom authenticator. An authenticator here is just a term for how the user actually signs in and refers to your app, which would serve as an authenticator for end users. So let's look at the admin experience first. Okay, so here I'm on the admin portal of our Munchbox app. And what I'm going to do is step through and see how I can configure the authenticator in the platform. What I'm going to do is hit add authenticator here. And you'll see there's a option saying custom authenticator. This is the option that I want to choose because I'm using a SDK based authenticator. As soon as I hit add authenticator, I have the ability to customize the name, the icon, and a bunch of other details of the app. So I'm going to put in the name, assign it to our Munchbox app, set the icon, and then configure APNS to make sure that the app is able to get push notifications. Once I do that, I hit add and you see that the authenticator is added to my org. I can now use this authenticator in my policies and my end users would be able to use this for signing up and signing in. Let's switch over to see how a end user would see this during the sign up flow. Okay, so I've switched over to my phone here and we have the Munchbox app open. What I'm going to do before adding some cool stuff to my cart is hit the account button here at the top to sign up for an account. I'm going to hit sign up and it's going to ask me for my name and email ID. What we want to do here is some progressive profiling to make sure that users have an easy way to sign up without having to provide a bunch of different information. As soon as I hit sign up, it sent an email to my email ID. And when I open my email, I can just hit the email and hit the activate button and I'm done. Once I'm back in the Munchbox app, it's going to ask me for Face ID and push notification requests. These are to enable additional factors for authentication. And this is going to enable me to provide two factors using just my on-device biometrics. So let's hit OK for that. I'll go ahead and do my Face ID and enable push notifications. That's it. I'm done. I'm signed up. I have an account and I have my phone enabled as an authenticator. Remember that I didn't have to put in a password. I didn't have to copy any complex codes. So it was a really simple sign up process. Let's look at how I can use this to sign in now when I switch over to my desktop. So here I am on my desktop device. What I'm going to do is try to sign in using my phone and see how that flow would work. So I hit the account icon and hit sign in. And it's going to ask me for my email ID so it can find my account. As soon as I put that in, it's telling me to check my phone for a push notification. Switching over to my phone, you see this push notification at the top. Note that this is come from the Munchbox app itself, and it's completely branded with the Munchbox branding, which was chosen by my admin. As soon as I hit the notification, it's going to open up the Munchbox app for me. And I see two options to hit yes, it's me or no, it's not me. I also have some additional details about the login itself. This makes sure that I, as a user, am not falling into a phishing attack, and there's other mechanisms to prevent me from being phished. So I'm going to hit yes. And as soon as I hit yes, it's going to take my Face ID and use that biometrics as a second factor. Wow, that's all I had to do. I just had to hit accept on a push notification and provide my on-device biometrics, and I'm signed in. Again, I didn't have to deal with any passwords. I didn't have to deal with any copying of codes, etc. That was really simple. So that was the demo of how the devices SDK can work in practice. Again, all of this can be customized and you can build this entire flow based on how you want your users to be signing up and signing in, as well as what branding and app experience you want to build. To look at some key takeaways from this session, we have a few things that you want to keep in mind. One is you want to be thinking about balancing usability and security. Of course, as developers, you want to build the best experience for your end users, but you also want to make sure that they're secure, especially if you have some banking or high value transaction use cases. You want to make sure that you're able to balance usability and security. The related point to that is you want to think beyond just 2FA. You want to be thinking about what is the actual device that the user is using for accessing your app, and is that app secure or not. You want to be thinking about how you can use on-device biometrics for logging a user in, which will be really helpful for the user. It's simple to use and you don't collect any device biometric information. Everything is using the on-device biometrics, and that's secure by default. So keep a lookout for this SDK coming soon. You want to look out at developer.okta.com for more details in the future. Take a look at more Octane 21 sessions around the device identity platform and Cyan roadmap to learn more. Thanks for joining this session, and we hope to see you building with the developer SDK really soon. We can't wait to see what you build using the devices SDK. Thanks.